Hello, sir. My name is Lustriani Petronella Sidabalok, and my ID number is 190103014. And I want to make a video of presentations about ideational function. Ideational functions have components and definition. Components, participant, process, and circumstance. Process have a material process, mental process, behavioral process, verbal process, attribute process, existential and identifying process. What is ideational function? The ideational functions refers to what students do with language as they engage with content and interact with others. Functions in order to express ideas. The ideational function is language concerned with building and maintaining a theory of experience functions and logical function. Halliday, 1981, 328. Element ideational function: participant, process, and circumstance. A participant can be the who carries out the actions or the one who is affected by seeing or feeling it can be a person that simply exists. The part of a sentence or clause with a typically released by the verb and while can be an action state, a meteorological phenomenon, process of sensing, saying, or simply existing is a process. And a circumstance, the well-known circumstance of time, place, and conditions, as well as a view others. What is material process? The process that involves cycle actions, running, coaching down, and so on. What is the element of material process? Participants are divided into two categories: actor or subject and goal is object. A. Material process of happening. The verbs appear, occur, happen, take place, grow, etc. Lustri as an actor and came as a material process. Yesterday is a circumstance of the sentence. Material process of doing is a B. The verbs like prepare, shoot, create, work, buy, borrow, etc. I as an actor, word as a material process, a letter as a goal, and yesterday is a circumstance of the sentence. And the second is mental process. What is mental process? Process of seeing and experiencing. Process in the mind to do with thinking, feeling, and perceiving. The terms that use is sensor and phenomenon for the participants. Sensor is a consciousness being human. Phenomenon can be material or abstract. Abstract is means can be singing. Perceptive type, five senses like seeing, hearing, and desiderative, technical term of wanting. There are four categories of mental process like perceptive, desiderative, cognitive, and emotive or reactive. Perspective like a seeing and hearing. Desiderative, a technical term of wanting. Cognitive is a process of declining, knowing, understanding. Emotive or reactive is a process of feeling. The example of mental process: he as a sensor of the sentence, could hear as a process of mental. His voice is a phenomenon in the sentence. Okay, let's take a look at the behavioral process. What's the behavioral process? Behavioral process is a process of psychological and sociological behavior like dreaming, breathing, watching, listening, smiling, looking, etc. Typical of a behavioral process are have only one participant, human, and another apparent participant, typically functioning as complement. The example of behavioral process. See, we all, he is a behavior. Studied love give is a process behavioral. A pain side behavior. I amazement is circumstance. Verbal process. What is verbal process? Process of saying various aspects of the cycle, actions, or the mental purpose and encoded in the verb. The example of behavioral process: see as a sayer, repeated as a process of verb. The warning, verbiage of a sentence. See, repeated the warning. Attribute process. What is the attribute process? Attribute process is the process of assigning a quality divided into carrier and attribute. What is the carrier and attribute? Carrier, that which is being described. Attribute serves to describe the carrier. Like the example of attribute process. Carrier, his clothes. She was a painter. She is his clothes are very expensive. She is a carrier. Process was attribute. A painter. She was attribute. Painter is an attribute of the sentence. His clothes is the carrier. Are is the process of this. Very expensive is the attribute of the clothes. So attribute is how we quality the something, and for a code is like the first type is called an attribute rational process, and the two participants are the carrier. Existential process. Existential process are process of exciting happening. The process is existential process is expressed by the following verbs: represent, haven't, and exist. Most typically by be. Certain intransitive verbs, expressions, positional status. A view, intransitive dynamic verbs of occurring into view or arrival or science. There was a battle. There followed a battle. There existential process and existence. Identifying process. Process to identify one entity and used to identify another. The participants are identified, and identifier can also be characterized with token and value. The example of identifying process: my father-in-law is the rubbish shop secretary. Token identifier, process rational and value. Illustrate is leader. Illustrate as a token identifier. Identifier of token is a process operational. Okay, thank you for watching this video. I hope the presentations can useful for us. Thank you.